There comes a moment when you realize that peace isn't something you find outside yourself, it's something you create within. When you stop chasing everything and start aligning yourself with purpose, something beautiful begins to happen. The chaos starts to settle. The confusion starts to clear. The pieces that once felt scattered begin to fall quietly into place. It doesn't happen because life suddenly becomes easier, it happens because you finally stop resisting what's meant for you and start flowing with it. Alignment is when your heart, your actions, and your intentions begin to move in the same direction. It's when you no longer live to please others or prove yourself, you live to honor what feels right for your soul. You stop fighting against life and start trusting its rhythm. You begin to see that not every delay is a denial, not every closed door is rejection. Some things are just being rearranged for your good. When you align within, clarity comes without effort. You stop second-guessing every decision because you start listening to that quiet, steady voice inside that knows where you belong. You no longer need everyone's approval because you've found your own assurance. You begin to notice that the more peace you cultivate on the inside, the more order appears on the outside. Relationships feel lighter. Opportunities flow more naturally. The things that once drained you lose their power over you. Alignment doesn't mean perfection, it means harmony. It means you're learning how to let go of control and trust the process. You stop trying to fix everything and instead focus on becoming everything you were meant to be. It's about learning to release what no longer serves you and make room for what's meant to stay. Because when you hold on too tightly to what's not for you, you block what's trying to find you. When you finally align your inner world, life starts responding differently. The right people start showing up. The right paths start opening. The right timing begins to reveal itself. You realize that it was never about forcing things into place, it was about becoming the kind of person who could attract and sustain what was meant to be yours all along. There's freedom in letting go of the constant striving and simply trusting that where you are is exactly where you're supposed to be right now. You stop panicking about the future because you understand that peace isn't found in knowing every answer, it's found in trusting that you'll be guided to them when it's time. When you align within, you stop living in reaction and start living in intention. You find balance between doing and being, between effort and ease. And in that balance, you discover the truth. Everything you've been waiting for is already being arranged for you. All you had to do was quiet the noise, center yourself, and let life unfold naturally. When your heart is at peace, everything else begins to fall gracefully into place. There's something powerful about allowing your results to speak for you. In a world where everyone feels the need to prove, post, and promote every step they take, choosing to stay silent while you work can feel countercultural. But that's where real power lives, in the quiet grind, in the unseen effort, in the discipline that doesn't demand attention. Because when you're truly focused on becoming the best version of yourself, you realize that words can't build credibility, consistency does. You don't have to announce your every move to prove that you're growing. You don't need to convince anyone that you're making progress. Let your work be the proof. Let your actions do the talking. The people who doubt you will eventually have no choice but to see what you've built. You don't need validation when you're living your transformation. There's a peace that comes when you stop performing and start producing. You shift from trying to be noticed to actually making an impact. You stop seeking permission and start walking in purpose. When you let your results speak, you don't have to argue your worth, because your growth makes the statement for you. The energy you once used to explain yourself becomes the fuel that drives you toward your goals. Silence doesn't mean absence, it means focus. It means you're so committed to your growth that you don't have time to prove it. You're investing in the parts of yourself that matter most, your mindset, your discipline, your faith. And while others are chasing attention, you're building momentum. You're stacking small victories, one on top of another, until suddenly, what was once invisible becomes undeniable. When you trust your work to speak, you stop being controlled by other people's opinions. You stop needing approval to feel confident. You find your confidence in the process, in the quiet satisfaction that comes from knowing you're giving your best, even when no one's watching. That kind of confidence can't be faked, it's built. It's earned through long nights, early mornings, and choices no one applauds. And one day, without even realizing it, your silence will have built something loud. People will start noticing the change, the strength, the peace, the purpose. They'll wonder how it happened so suddenly, not realizing it was years of silent dedication that made it possible. The same people who questioned you will look to you for inspiration. So don't rush to prove your progress. Don't let insecurity push you to perform. Keep building, keep showing up, keep trusting the process. Because when your results speak, they won't whisper, they'll roar. Every sacrifice, every quiet moment of discipline, every unseen act of faith will come together to tell a story that words never could. And that story will speak louder than anything you could ever say. There's something sacred about the seasons when nothing seems to be happening. Those quiet stretches of life when you feel unseen, unnoticed, and unsure of what's next. It's easy to believe you've been forgotten, that all your effort has gone unnoticed, that maybe your dreams have been buried too deep to grow. But what if those hidden seasons aren't punishment, they're preparation? What if the silence is where God does his best work? Think of a seed. When it's planted, it disappears beneath the soil. To the outside world, it looks like nothing is happening, but under the surface, everything is changing. Roots are forming, strength is being built, and the foundation for future growth is being laid. The same is true for you. Those times when life feels still, when your progress feels invisible, those are the moments when the deepest transformation is taking place. Growth doesn't always show on the surface, but it's happening in ways you can't yet see. God works in the hidden seasons because that's where your faith is tested and your character is formed. It's easy to trust when everything's visible, but it's in the unseen where trust becomes real. When doors seem closed, when prayers feel unanswered, when the waiting gets heavy, that's where you learn that purpose doesn't disappear in the dark. It deepens. You're not being delayed, you're being developed. There's beauty in being hidden, even if it doesn't feel like it. The hidden season protects you. It shields your growth from premature exposure, from the pressures that could crush you before you're ready. Sometimes God hides you to heal you. He pulls you away from the noise so you can hear his direction clearly. He slows you down so you can build the kind of foundation that won't crumble when the weight of your calling arrives. It's in those quiet, unseen moments that you start to discover who you really are. You learn patience. You learn resilience. You learn how to be content even when nothing looks like it's moving. Because deep down, you start to understand that not every blessing blooms in the light, some grow best in the dark. And when the time is right, everything that was hidden will begin to unfold. The doors will open, the opportunities will come, and the fruit of your faith will finally be seen. But by then, you'll be different. Stronger, wiser, grounded in gratitude, not dependent on attention. You'll realize that the waiting wasn't wasted, it was working. So if you're in that season now, take heart. Don't rush the process. Don't curse the quiet. The hidden places are holy ground. Something beautiful is taking root beneath the surface, and when it's ready, it will grow beyond anything you imagined. The same God who works in the light is the one who's shaping you in the dark. Trust that every silent season has a purpose, and that purpose is preparing you for everything that's coming next. There is a powerful shift that happens when you stop trying to prove yourself and start focusing on becoming who you're meant to be. So much of our energy gets spent trying to convince others that we're enough, trying to fit into molds, meet expectations, or gain approval that doesn't define our true worth. But the moment you stop performing for acceptance and start living for alignment, everything begins to change. You begin to step into a quieter, more authentic kind of confidence. The kind that doesn't come from applause but from awareness. When you focus on becoming, you start to realize that your value was never something to earn, it was something you were born with. You don't have to compete to matter. You don't have to prove you're special by being seen. You are already enough, even in the process, even in the in-between stages of your becoming. Growth is not loud, and transformation doesn't need an audience. It's something sacred that unfolds when you choose purpose over performance. There will be times when people misunderstand your quiet growth. They might think you've lost interest or lost direction, but what they can't see is that you're no longer chasing validation, you're chasing vision. You're redirecting your energy from seeking recognition to building resilience. You're learning that peace feels better than approval, and purpose lasts longer than praise. When you stop proving, you give yourself permission to grow at your own pace. You no longer measure your progress by how many people notice it but by how deeply you feel it. You begin to take pride not just in outcomes but in effort. You celebrate small wins, quiet progress, and unseen breakthroughs. You learn that becoming is not about reaching perfection, it's about embracing process. It's about allowing yourself to evolve without judgment, to bloom without comparison. Focusing on becoming teaches you to trust the unseen work, to trust the days when nothing looks different, but something within you is shifting. It reminds you that you don't need to broadcast every step to validate your direction. Sometimes the greatest transformations happen in silence, in private moments of courage and surrender that no one else witnesses. You find freedom in knowing that you don't need to be everything for everyone. You just need to be true to the calling inside you. Because when you focus on becoming rather than proving, life opens up in unexpected ways. The right people begin to notice, not because you demanded their attention, but because your authenticity drew them in. The right opportunities align, not because you chased them, but because your purpose prepared you for them. You stop trying to prove your worth because you finally understand, you already are worthy. And from that truth, you rise stronger, calmer, and more certain of who you are becoming. There comes a time when you realize that silence is not your enemy, it's your ally. You begin to understand that strength doesn't always roar, sometimes it whispers. There is immense power in stepping back, in choosing not to respond to every opinion, not to defend every decision, not to justify your path to those who were never meant to walk it with you. In a world that celebrates noise and attention, choosing silence is a radical act of strength. It means you've reached a place where peace matters more than proving a point, and growth means more than being seen. When you become quiet, you start to hear things that were drowned out by the chaos. You hear your thoughts more clearly. You start recognizing your emotions without judging them. You begin to understand that silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. It's the space where your spirit catches up to your pace, where you can breathe deeply and remember who you are beneath all the layers of expectation. Silence teaches you to trust yourself. It shows you that you don't have to rush for clarity or fight for understanding. When you slow down, when you stop talking and start observing, you realize how strong you really are. You notice how far you've come. You see how capable you've always been. And that kind of awareness can only grow when you create room for it, when you stop filling every quiet moment with noise or distraction. Strength in silence is not about shutting people out, it's about tuning into yourself. It's saying, I don't need to explain my journey for it to be valid. It's knowing that your purpose doesn't require a public announcement. It's being at peace with the fact that some people won't understand your stillness, and that's okay. Because silence protects what words might weaken. It shields the delicate stages of your transformation. It gives you the courage to build without validation and to grow without applause. When you master the art of silence, you stop chasing closure and start creating calm. You realize that the most powerful statements you can make are the ones you live, not the ones you speak. You understand that real strength is not found in how loudly you respond, but in how deeply you remain rooted when everything around you tries to pull you off balance. So, when the world gets noisy, when opinions come flying and doubts try to creep in, remember this, you are under no obligation to explain your piece. Your silence is not emptiness, it's evidence of maturity. It's the space where strength is restored, faith is refined, and purpose is revealed. The strongest people aren't always the ones making the loudest moves, they're often the ones sitting in stillness, quietly rising, becoming unshakable from the inside out.